Okay, so now let's look at another problem, which is Mr. Anderson gave 2/5 of his money to his wife and spent one half of the remainder. If he had $300 left, how much money did he have at first? That's what we have to figure out. Okay, so let's make a bar model first. So let's look at the bar model and let's see. We have a bar. This represents Mr. Anderson's money. And since he's going to give 2/5 of his money to his wife, excuse me, I'm going to break it up into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are fifths. And he's going to give 2/5 of his money to his wife. So this is the money that he has given away to his wife. Okay. And now this is, so he's going to spend, please note, one half of what? Of the remainder. It's very important to figure out whether it is what 2/5 of his money, and here you have one half of the remainder. So the whole is very important. So here you're getting 2/5 of all the money. Here he's spending one half of what remains. So let's figure out what remains. Well, clearly this is the remainder, right? The 3/5. And now he's going to spend one half of it. Well, I have 3 squares and I can't really divide it into a half. That's hard. I could, but it's harder, right? So how do I divide the remainder into a half? Because he's going to spend one half of the remainder. So what I can do is I'm going to divide the fifths into two pieces. So all of the fifths are going to get divided into 2 pieces. Okay. So now each piece is really a tenth, right? Because each one of these pieces, now a fifth divided by 2 becomes a tenth, right? So now each one of these pieces is a tenth, and now the wife actually got 4/10, which is the same as 2/5. And now as the remainder, we are left with 6/10. And from 6/10, I can certainly divide the 6/10 into a half. When I take 6/10, so I have 6/10 left, right? So you can count. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/10 are left. So if I take 6/10 and I half them, if I divide by 2, I'm going to be left with 3/10, right? So that means that there are 3/10. So let's take the 3/10. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. So I've taken 3/10. So now you can see what remains. So after he has spent the money, so this is the money he spent. So now there's still some money left, and let's figure out. So this part, so you can see that there are 1, 2, 3/10 which have still not been spent or given away. So that means 3/10 are left. So we have figured out that 3/10 of the whole of money, the entire money, is equal to 300. That's what the problem states, right? That the whatever is left is 300. So that means, so there are 3/10 and there are 300, which means that each one of the tenths, so if you look at each of the tenths, so each 1/10 of the money must be $100 because 3/10 are $300. And now there were 10/10 to begin with, which implies initially the money that he had, total money, is really equal to, oh sorry, it's $100. So let me write it as $100. I apologize. So this is 1/10 of the money is $100. Since 3/10 of the money was $300, 1/10 of the money has to be 3 times less, $100. So the total money that he had initially, so now remember he had 10/10 to begin with. right? So if you had 10 tenths to begin with, the money must be 10 times more. So this must be equal to 100 times 10, which is equal to $1,000. Okay? That's one way to do the calculation. Another way that we could do the same calculation is, I'm going to do it more abstractly. Maybe I'll try to do it here. Let's see whether I can make sense of it, or maybe I'll go on a different page. So first he's going to give 2/5 of his money. So let's look at that. So he gave 2/5 of his money. So after he's given away 2/5 of his money, so remainder, so what remains, he gave 2/5 of his money to his wife. So what remains is 1 minus 2/5, which is equal to 3/5. So you can see, as we go back, after he gave the money to his wife, he was left with 3/5 of the money. So now he's going to spend half of what remains. So half of remains is going to be equal to half multiplied by what is remains. Well, remains is 3/5. So I'm going to multiply half by 3/5 to get to 3/10. So he spent half of what remains, which is 3/10, on, so this is what he spent. So this is what he spent, and this is what he gave to his wife, so that the total amount gone. So if you look at amount used, that's going to be equal to 2/5 that he gave to his wife and 3/10 that he spent. Okay, so when I add them, this is just going to be, I put them in a common denominator. So this is going to be 4/10. 2/5 is the same as 4/10 plus 3. So this will turn out to be equal to 7/10. Okay, so this is 7/10. And now, so what that means is that the remaining amount, as we found out, was just equal to 1 minus 7/10, which was equal to 3/10. So now we know 3/10. Now we can do the same thing. 3/10 of whole is equal to $300, which implies, you can figure this out, that so this would mean 3/10 multiplied by, let's say, whole, and I'm going to write W for whole, is equal to 300. So now in order to, I can multiply both sides by, so let me write this out here. So this says it's just 3/10 multiplied by W is equal to 300. So what I can do is I can multiply this equality by 10 over 3. Excuse me, and when I multiply this inequality by 10 over 3, I'll get 10 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 10 multiplied by W is equal to 300 multiplied by 10 over 3. I have to do the same thing on both sides. So I multiplied by 10 over 3 on both sides. And now you can see that 10 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 10 is just 30 over 30, which is 1. So this is just 1. 1 times W is W. So just equal to W is equal to, now I can divide the numerator and denominator by 3. So I just get 100. 100 times 10 is equal to 1,000. So this is a much more sophisticated way of doing the same calculation that we did earlier. And whenever you feel uncomfortable, like maybe you don't like this part of the calculation, so maybe you don't like this part of the calculation, so you can always go back and start thinking about this problem in this way. So there's no better or worse way of thinking about problems. You should be comfortable doing both ways, but if you're more comfortable thinking concretely, go ahead and do it, and it should be perfectly fine.